Wouldn't you like to design your life aligned with your nature, aligned with your values, your dreams, your passions, and your purpose? To have the freedom to build your life the way you want. Well, that's what lifestyle design is all about. It's about living authentically on your terms. And it's my obsession. That's why it's the main topic of this entire channel. So today I'll talk about how we can design the life we want through experimentation. I first came across this concept in Tim Ferriss' book, The 4-Hour Workweek. In the book, he says that lifestyle design is a process of experimentation. It's a process of trial and error until something clicks. It's based on the idea that we can't know for sure if we like something until we actually try it. It's about getting a taste of your vision right now and not just kind of fantasize about it when you don't even know if you'll actually enjoy it. So let's see 3 experiments you can do today to build a life you love. And before we begin, I also invite you to download the free guide, The Life Purpose Formula, the easiest way to figure out your purpose and calling. Because I think that designing our lives around our purpose is really the path to our highest fulfillment. So I'll put the link to download the free guide in the description below. The first experiment is an exercise from the book Designing Your Life: How to Build a Well-Lived, Joyful Life. It's written by 2 Stanford professors and creators of the Life Design Lab. The exercise is called the Good Time Journal. For 4 weeks, write down everything you do daily, or the most important things, in your planner or in what they call your Good Time Journal. And every evening, identify the activities that energized you and those that drained your energy. And be specific. For example, if you felt drained at work, identify what more specifically drained you. Was it the tasks you were doing, or maybe the environment, or perhaps the people you were interacting with? Try to identify what exactly was enjoyable and not enjoyable. And if you already have a detailed schedule for the past few weeks in your planner, and if you have a good memory, you can just open your planner and look at the activities of the past, let's say 4 weeks, and do that exercise. Just try to identify the activities that energized you and those that drained you. And then ask yourself, what would I like to do more of? What would I like to do less of? What's missing in my schedule or in my daily life to feel fulfilled? Also try to identify the highlights of each week. When I did this exercise for the first time a few years ago when the book came out, I realized that my weekly highlights were generally time spent in nature, or maybe other self-care activities, or moments when I had deep and meaningful conversations. Doing this exercise eventually led me to enroll in a life coaching certification, which I completed about 2 years ago. And now I'm about to launch an interview-based podcast. Both coaching and podcasting are activities that allow me to have deep and meaningful conversations. So you see how analyzing your schedule will give you information that you can then use to decide what you want to do more of or less of, and also what projects you want to pursue to create a life that you love. Another helpful tip for designing a life we love is to experience our ideal day once a month. You may have heard of the ideal day exercise, where you write a description of your perfect day and then perhaps visualize it. And on top of that, I recommend actually experiencing it at least once a month. First, you can write down a description of your perfect day. It can be a day off or a work day, and then pick a date to experience it. It may not be exactly like your description, but try to plan your day as close as possible to your vision of a perfect day. For example, if in your mind on your ideal day you have a picnic at the park with your partner, but right now you're single, you could still have a picnic maybe with a friend, or you can even do it by yourself. I'll tell you why this exercise is so helpful. Sometimes we think we want something, but when we have it or when we experience it, it's not as enjoyable as we thought it would be. Again, it comes back to the idea that until we try something, we can be entirely sure that we like it. Like the first time I did this exercise, I wrote on my ideal day description that on that day I would have a green smoothie and I would go for a massage and like a few other things. Well, on the day I planned to experience my ideal day, I did not feel like having a smoothie at all. I did not feel like having a massage either. Like, they sounded good in my mind, but in reality, I don't even like smoothies. I like to chew my food. Experiencing your ideal day once a month is a great way to design your life through experimentation and get more insights about what you really want and like. The last experiment also comes from the book Designing Your Life that I mentioned earlier. It's called the Odyssey Plans. The idea behind this exercise is that there's not just one best version of you or one best version of your life, but several great versions. You could choose different paths and be equally happy. The authors of Designing Your Life recommend creating 3 Odyssey plans, or imagining 3 different potential life paths. And these lives are not like your plan A, your plan B, and your plan C, in the sense that plan A is the best choice and plan C is the worst. There are just 3 different potential paths, or think of possible timelines. So your first life or your first Odyssey plan is the life you're currently thinking of pursuing, or the plan you already have in mind, the most likely option. Your second path is the life you would choose, or the path you would pursue if the first path was no longer an option. For example, in my first life, I'm a life coach, which I am right now, and I create content and products related to spirituality and personal growth. Let's say that something happens and there's no more demand for life coaching, like 0 demand, and let's say that the internet disappears. Well, I don't think I would be very happy, but if I had no choice, I would probably do workshops, like in-person workshops, maybe breathwork workshops or meditation workshops. Maybe I would even open like a center where I can host these workshops. Just remember that your second life has to be kind of different from your first one. And your third life or your third path is the life you would choose, the life you would live if money and image were no object. If you could make a comfortable living doing anything, and if no one would judge you, what would you do? For me, it would look a lot like my first life, except I would be making short documentary films as the main portion of my work. Now, for each of your Odyssey plan, for each of your 3 life paths, imagine a 5-year plan. Where would you live? Who would be in your life? What would happen in your life in the next 5 years? Think of the most important events. And don't just think about work, also think of the other aspects of your life. For example, maybe in one life you have kids and in another one you don't. Or maybe in one life you live in the city and in another one you live in the countryside. And also think again of your third life, the one that you would live if money and image were no object. Ask yourself, is it really unrealistic? Like, are you sure you can't follow that ideal path? And the last thing is experimentation, and this part is very important. You need to do some research to have a better idea if it's something, again, that you would actually enjoy. The authors recommend having conversations with people who already do what you want to do. I'll just share a mini story with you to show you how important that is. So a few years ago, I had a friend who wanted to get into a pastry chef school. I think it's culinary school, but she wanted to become a pastry chef. And she had this idea in mind, and for a whole year, she tried to get in a culinary school. Eventually, she got in and she did a whole year training. And then when it was time to do her internship, she realized that she really disliked being a pastry chef. First, she had to wake up very early in the morning, and she's not a morning person. Also, her work environment was really hot and she cannot stand the heat. And she was alone most of the time, and she's a people person. She used to work as a bartender, so she likes to interact with people. So that was clearly not the path for her. But she had this fantasy in her mind that that was what she wanted to do. She wasted time and money. And she could have avoided that by just having conversations with people who work as pastry chefs. So having conversations before getting into something can be a great idea. Again, the idea with experimentation is to not get stuck or obsessed with a fantasy or a vision in our minds, and instead try it, explore it, experiment with it. And if you want to design your life around your purpose, then you can watch my other video, 10 clues for knowing and living your life purpose. I'll link it somewhere on the screen and also in the description below. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this was helpful. I hope you'll give these exercises a try because they've been so helpful to me. I'm sure they can help you too. I wish you a beautiful day, and I'll see you next week.